That is way too thick. That is ginormous. We will get back to you. And I'm back with new rings, new hat, and a new attitude. So what happened with the Rock Auto rings was I sent them back and they gave me the return. It seemed like what had happened was everything about the rings was correct. It's just that someone gave Rock Auto the wrong part number. So everything that was listed on Rock Auto was right in respect to the rings. It was just that those rings don't go with that motor. But I sent them back, they gave me a return, and then I got these off of eBay, and they came all the way from Lithuania, from M54. Let's open them up, compare them to the piston, and compare them to the old rings, and get moving. One, two, three. Hopefully there are 2 per pack. There are 2 per pack. So there we go. Compression ring, scraper ring, oil ring. So let's take a look at these. It's a good looking ring. All right. And that fits in there very nicely. And compared to the old ring, identical. That's what we like to see right there. Very happy with those. We can start filing. But before we start filing, we need to figure out what we are going to file the end gap to. And that value varies based on your application. If I was to build an NA motor, then I could probably put them in as is. But if I'm going for a street build with a turbo, I'm going to need to make my end gap a little bit bigger. So people have said that your piston rings should come with a sheet that tells you what you should gap your rings to for specific builds. But these did not come with it, and based off of general consensus, it seems like 5 thou per inch of bore is a good base to go off of. So since my car is German and uses proper units, I know that my bore is 84 millimeters. And converting that to caveman era units, we get 3.30709 inches. Then to get 5 thou per inch, we multiply that bore by 0.005 inches. That gives us, for the compression ring, 0.0165 inches. Now your second ring is going to gap a little bit bigger than your top ring. The reason for that is if you get any combustion past your top ring through your gap, you want that to not get trapped between the 2 rings. You want it to be able to escape through the second ring. So you gap it just a little bit bigger. The general consensus for that is 0.5 thou larger per inch than for the top ring. So for the second ring, when we multiply our bore of 3.30709 inches by 0.0055 inches, we get 0.0182 inches for the second ring. Now, it's hard to get down to that fine of a precision of 0.5 thou. So what you want to do is, if you're at 16.5 thou, then you round up to 17 thou. If you were at maybe 16.4 thou, you round down to 16 thou. So with my 16.5 thou for the top ring, I'll do a 17 thou. And for my 18.2 thou for the second ring, I'll do 18 thou. Now, it's important to remember that too much end gap and you'll lose a couple horses, but too little end gap and you'll lose the whole stable. So keep that in mind when you are gapping your rings. It's always important to go a little bit too big than a little too small. All right, so now that we know what I need to gap my rings to, we can get the block up here and start actually filing the rings. So let me go get that. All right, engine block. So what's the general process? We need piston, ring, and I'm going to use a marker to mark which cylinder slash ring set I'm on. So I'm gonna start with 6 and work my way forward. I'm going to build my little ring filer. So give me 1 second and let me figure out what this looks like built. All right, after some deliberation, we found 3 components here. So we've got a bracket to, I guess, mount this to a tabletop or something like that. I'm not gonna use this. You got the wheel that goes in the center here, and you've got the handle with a little set screw. So let me put all this together real quick. We're gonna start with putting the wheel on. So there's a bolt in there that I'm going to take out, and it's got this washer on here. So the wheel will get sandwiched between the pin thing here and the washer with the bolt. No, just not good. These are just some absolutely atrocious threads. With the 10 mil on there, it does go on fine. It's not crossed there. They're just kind of not well made. Alright, that's on there. Does it spin? No. Why not? No. That's wonderful. Okay, so the wheel, as it spins, hits on the stage and causes it to not be able to move. So you can see up here, it is binding. So we're going to need to take out a little notch up there with the Dremel. All right. Eye protection. We've now got a thing that spins. Wow, and now we have a tool that works. Now that we've got that ready to go, we can get to our rings. So the second ring is a softer metal than the compression ring, which means that as you file it, it will actually file down faster and easier than the top one. So my plan is to file all of the second rings first, and then when I go to the top ring, I'm not going to be in the mindset of going too fast. If I start with the top ring, then I'll have to be grinding for longer. So then when I go to the second ring, I'll be going too far and then I'll gap them too big, maybe. So I think it's safer to start with the second ring and do all of those and then go to the top ring. This is 6, cylinder 6, right here. Uh-oh. All right, so ring, I'm gonna take it, put it down in the cylinder. Now I'm going to take my piston, push it in there level. Okay, so I was noticing some weird things about the end gaps. It seems like when I put one in for cylinder 5, it was already at like almost 20 thou. That was kind of weird. So I went and looked for the Hastings specific piston ring end gap sheet, which I should have done in the first place, I'll admit. But it looks like based off of their numbers for a forced induction build up to 15 pounds, which is what applies to me, for a cast or forged piston, which I have cast, it's actually supposed to be 0.006 inches, so 6 thou per inch of bore. So that actually puts me now for the compression ring at 20 thou, and for the second ring 22 thou. So I will have to go back to cylinder 6 or piston ring 6 and redo that one. But that makes me feel better because it was weird pulling them out and having them already at 20 thou. So cool. Let me go back to the other one, measure it up again, and see about that one. So cylinder 5. So 20 thou fits in there with a bit of resistance. So we're going to 22 thou on this one. All right. So 21 will not fit in there. So double check that 20 does. So yeah, 20 fits in. 21 does not want to. It will if I force it to, but it doesn't want to. So we gotta take a few more off. So now I've learned that when you are filing, you are not supposed to push the ring into the wheel. You're just supposed to kind of let it sit there and make sure there's contact between the ring and the wheel, but let the wheel do the work. Just like when you're, doing any other kind of, sawing or something like that, and you don't push down on the saw, you just let the saw do the work and get through it. So get it as lined up and straight against the wheel as possible. So it's important to try to get your ring as level as possible in the cylinder wall. What I'm going off of, I'm trying to go to the bottom of the ledge here and line that up as evenly with the deck of the block. So I do end up going a bit below it, but as long as I can kind of see that it's nice and level, I'm happy with it. They do sell a cool little tool that's kind of like a spider thing like this, and it's 3, and you just basically pop it in there like that, and it makes everything level. I didn't get one of those. People use pistons all the time for it. It's fine. So let's see where we're at now. All right. So I think I was doing a couple things wrong on the first pass of this ring. Firstly, I think I was accidentally kind of coming in at an angle with my feeler gauge, which caused me to think that the gap was smaller than it was, and so I think I kind of messed myself up with that, but it's still fine. It's still at like 20 thou, but I think I made myself think that I was shaving off more than I was at a time because I wasn't lining up my feeler gauge well. Alright, cool. But that 21 is definitely not going in. So keep going on that one. Yeah, we still haven't even hit 21 yet, so. Okay, we're steadily approaching the 21 thou mark, but yet to really come anywhere close to 22. So I'm just gonna kind of go for it here and let her eat. Perfect. All right, so that's at 22. Nice. It's firm grip on it. The ring has a firm grip on the feeler gauge. Let me see about 23. 23 does not want to go in. So it doesn't. 23 doesn't want to go all the way in. It looks like the inside of the gap. So, you know, on this side, I accidentally took a little bit more off. I don't think it was totally entirely my fault because the wheel is a bit, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little cattywampus. It wiggles a little bit, so I think that's part of what it is. That's not a huge deal though. I mean, it's not a huge deal. So that's good though. So 23 fits in like on the inside here, but it doesn't make it all the way to the cylinder wall, so I'm very happy with that one. And now I feel good moving on to cylinder 5. Alright, I'm probably going to stop talking now for a little while and just focus on this. Alright, so that's done. Now we got to move on to the compression ring. So the compression ring is a little harder than the scraper ring, so it's going to take a little more grinding to do the same amount of filing as on the compression ring as it would be on the scraper ring. But I also don't know how much I'll have to take. I don't know how far off the compression ring is compared to where it should be. So we'll just have to see how much it takes to grind these down. So let's get to it. So for these, we're looking at 0.02 inches, so 20 thousandths, 20 thou. So let's get to it. All right. Oof. Yeah, these are noticeably harder than the other rings. Push that in there. No, 18. I'll guess 18. Not even 16. 16 went in nice. Looks like it's at 16. I'm going to double check real quick because this one is currently at 16 thou, and my calculated nominal width is 20 thou. So that's a much bigger difference in end gaps. So I'm going to double check real quick, pull that up on my phone, which is inside. Alright, so I did go back and I did double check that we are supposed to be doing 6 thou per inch of bore. So that's going to be my bore times 6 thou, which gives me 19.8 thou of end gap, rounding up to 20 thou of end gap. So that is what Hastings recommends. So now we're going up 4 thou on this end gap. So let's get to doing. So we're right at 18 thou, just barely getting to 19. So that was a pretty quick change. Not as quick as I was expecting. So it won't take too much more to get me up to 20 here. So that's right at 19, real nice snug fit, but not binding too much. So just a little bit more and we'll be right at the 20 thou mark. That's almost as perfect as you can get, but I want to put a little more shape on it and get it as flat with the other side of the gap as possible. Still not quite there, but we are quickly approaching. This is a very tedious process, but well worth the effort. Still just a little bit more. I think that was pretty good.